Welcome to the SkillUpEnglish Podcast, where we turn workplace English into your smartest career tool. I'm Mr. Wolf, your language mentor and your shortcut to sounding clear, confident, and credible at work. And joining me today is... Miss Whiskers? You there?
Sorry, I was just rewriting my intro line with Google Translate. It did not go well. Anyway, hi, I'm Miss Whiskers, recovering from my 47th kindly revert back message.
You're not alone, and that's exactly why we're here. Today's episode, it's one every fluent speaker needs to hear. Business English in 2025, the unwritten rules you must know. Let's get into it. Let's start with something uncomfortable. You can be fluent in English and still sound unprofessional at work. You can know all the grammar rules and still struggle to get taken seriously in meetings. And you can write perfect sentences that get completely ignored. Sound familiar? That's because business communication isn't just about English, it's about business fluency. And in 2025, that fluency is about more than correctness. It's about how your message moves across platforms, relationships, and time zones. Let me explain. In the past, good English meant grammar, spelling, and structure. Today, that's just the entry ticket. In the modern workplace, English is not just a language. It's a currency of influence. It's how you signal credibility. It's how you build trust before people even meet you in person. And it's how you rise or get stuck in an international team.
Okay, wait, I get that. But how do I know if I'm fluent or business fluent?
Great question. Let's break that down. Business fluency means you know how to say something depending on the platform, you know when to speak, when to type, and when to stop. And you can read between the lines of what's not being said. Here's an example. Say your manager messages, "Hey, can you take this?" That's not just a yes or no question. It's also, how fast do you reply? Do you sound confident? Do you clarify ownership or just accept quietly? Your English can be perfect, but if your response timing, tone, and clarity are off, it won't land well. Now, multiply that across platforms. In 2025, we're using email for formal alignment, Slack for rapid, messy collaboration, LinkedIn for personal branding, Zoom for strategic meetings, Notion or Google Docs for async updates, voice notes for quick clarity, and sometimes WhatsApp to rescue the mess. Each one has its own rhythm, unspoken etiquette, and speed of expectation.
Wait, speed of expectation?
Yep, that's one of the unwritten rules no one teaches. Email gives you a buffer, maybe a few hours or even a day. Slack? You go silent for 3 hours, people assume you've dropped the ball. LinkedIn, people expect polished, thoughtful tone. Voice notes? You better sound clear, not rushed, or it feels like noise. And no one will tell you these rules directly. You only learn them by making mistakes or listening to this podcast. Let's make it practical. Here are 5 signs you're fluent but not business fluent yet. 1. You're constantly rereading your messages before you hit send. 2. You feel nervous when replying to managers. 3. You copy templates instead of expressing your real tone. 4. You avoid meetings because you don't want to sound wrong. 5. You notice others get replies faster, with shorter messages.
Okay, ouch, that's like most of my week.
You're not alone. And here's the good news. Business fluency can be learned. Not through more grammar exercises, but by mastering tone, timing, and trust signals. That's why this series exists, to give you the real playbook for 2025. Let's move to next important point and look at the kinds of messages that sound polite, but accidentally signal weakness.
Okay, real story time. So last month, I was working on this joint project, and I had to share a document with a teammate. I sent it over on Slack in the afternoon. The next morning, silence. No reply, no reaction. So I followed up with this message. Hi, sorry to bother you. Just checking if you've had a chance to review the file I sent yesterday. No rush, let me know. Then I stared at the screen. They were online. The typing bubble appeared and then disappeared. 2 minutes later, they replied to someone else in the same thread.
That's the digital version of being left hanging mid-handshake.
Exactly. And of course, I went into full overthinking mode. Did I say something wrong? Was I too pushy? Was I annoying?
Let me say this up front. Your message wasn't wrong in grammar terms, but it hit the wrong tone signal for Slack, especially in 2025. Here's the thing most people don't realize. Different platforms have different speed limits and tone defaults. Slack is fast. It's informal. It's meant for momentum. And long, overly soft messages like sorry to bother you or no rush actually create friction. They feel passive. They signal uncertainty. Let's take your message and decode what actually happened. You opened with, "Hi, sorry to bother you," which immediately frames you as someone who might be bothering them, even if you're not. Then, just checking if you've had a chance to. That's vague and hesitant. What do you actually want? A yes, feedback, a timeline? And finally, no rush, let me know. Which undermines the entire purpose of following up. If there's no rush, why are you messaging?
Ooh, so basically I made it really easy to ignore me.
Exactly. Not because your message wasn't impolite, but because it was too polite for the platform. And in 2025, clarity is the new courtesy. Let me give you a rewrite. Short, clear, and still respectful. Hey, looping back on the doc I shared yesterday. Would love your thoughts when you get a sec. That message works because it's confident, not needy. It sets context without over-explaining, and it asks for what you actually want. A response.
It's still polite, but it doesn't apologize for existing.
Exactly. Here's the deeper layer. When people receive dozens or hundreds of Slack pings a day, they don't have time to decode politeness. They respond to momentum, clarity, and tone that matches the speed of the platform. Let me share 3 other common mistakes people make on chat tools like Slack or Teams and how to fix them. Mistake 1. Formality overload. Dear Mr. Ahmed, kindly be advised the document has been finalized. That's not Slack language. That's corporate 2008. X mark opposed to, hey Ahmed, just uploaded the final doc. Let me know if anything's missing. Mistake 2. Vague follow-ups. Just touching base to see where things stand. No one knows what that means. X mark opposed to, quick check-in. Are we good to share this deck by EOD? Mistake 3. Passive gratitude. Thanks in advance. It can feel assumptive. X mark opposed to, appreciate your help on this. Let me know if anything's unclear.
I've done all 3 of those in the same week.
And again, it's not your fault. No one teaches you how to shift tone per tool. They teach grammar, they teach format, but not real-time nuance. And that's what sets professionals apart now. Here's the big takeaway. Your tone should always match your intent, the context, and the platform. That means if it's Slack or Teams, keep it short, clear, and confident. If it's email, structure matters more. If it's voice note, pace and tone matter most.
So basically, be intentional with how you sound, not just what you say.
Exactly. And coming up next, we're diving into the unspoken rules that shape communication tone, things native speakers learn by instinct, but no one teaches directly. Let's pull that curtain back next.
Okay, so let me ask you something. Have you ever read an email from a native English speaker and thought, wait, was that friendly or annoyed? Or maybe you've sent a message that sounded totally polite to you and got a weird, cold reply in return? That's not a grammar issue. That's a tone mismatch.
And it's one of the most common reasons international professionals struggle to connect in English-speaking workspaces.
Okay, so you're saying they're not just fluent in English, they're fluent in reading the room too.
Exactly. Let me give you an example. You might say, "Could you please share the report when you get a chance?" Sounds polite, right? Now, a native speaker might say, "Hey, mind shooting that over when you can?" Same ask, totally different energy. The first sounds formal, slightly distant. The second, friendly, normal, confident.
Now, here's where it gets tricky. As a non-native speaker, you're often taught to be formal equals respectful. But in many modern workplaces, especially in global teams, being too formal makes you sound stiff or even passive. Let's flip that. Kindly advise sounds robotic. Please revert back, outdated phrasing. This is to inform you, bureaucratic tone.
But I literally learned those phrases in my business English book. And that's the problem. Those books teach form, but what actually builds trust at work is tone. Here's what native speakers often do without thinking. Add hey to soften a request. Use contractions like I'm, let's, don't to sound more natural. Break long sentences into short, direct lines. Match the level of formality to the relationship. It's like jazz, not math. And unless you're tuned into that rhythm, you might be saying the right words in the wrong music. Coming up, we'll introduce the framework we use at SkillUp English to decode tone, rebuild clarity, and help you stop overthinking every message. Let's get practical. Let's finish with a tool you can actually use today, one that'll change how you write, speak, and sound at work. It's called the ICE method. And no, it's not frozen.
Great, because I already freeze every time I have to write a message.
ICE stands for Intent, Context, and Execution. It's what we teach at SkillUp English to help professionals stop overthinking and start communicating with clarity. Let's break it down. Intent is all about being honest with yourself. What do you actually want from this message? Approval? A yes? Action. Most people write sentences hoping for something, but they never say it clearly. That's why they don't get the results they need. Here's the vague version. Just checking in to see how things are going. Here's the ICE version. Hey, any updates on the design draft? I'd love to send it to the client by Thursday.
I always thought being indirect was safer, but now I get it. You're not being rude, you're being useful.
Exactly. Intent shows leadership. Next, context. It's the silent tone shifter. It's what separates copy-paste from professional. You wouldn't say, kindly advise on WhatsApp. You wouldn't say, hey boss, in a boardroom report. Context asks, who am I talking to? Where am I saying this? What tone will land best? Slack, be short. LinkedIn, be polished. Client meeting, be clear and calm.
So it's not just what I say, it's where and how I say it.
Exactly. And now, execution. Execution is where you bring it all together. The tone, the timing, the delivery. Let's say you're giving feedback. You could say, I disagree. That's honest, but it might shut the door. Now try, I see your point. Here's another angle I'd love to explore with you.
So, ICE is the difference between being correct and being effective.
You nailed it. ICE keeps you focused. Context keeps you respectful. Execution makes you sound like someone people trust. Master ICE, and you won't need to copy outdated email templates again. You won't have to guess what tone feels professional. You'll just sound like a leader.
So, basically, I need to ICE every single message.
If you want replies, yes. And in the next episode, we'll show you how to apply ICE in live meetings where tone, timing, and trust show up in real time, because that's where confidence lives. From basics to brilliance. Thanks for listening to this episode of the SkillUp English Podcast.
If you found even one takeaway today that made you rethink how you write, speak, or message at work, we've done our job.
Don't forget to follow the podcast so you don't miss what's coming next, especially Episode 3, where we tackle live meetings, awkward silence, and how to speak up without overthinking it.
And hey, if you've ever iced the message so hard it froze the whole conversation, we feel you. You're learning, you're leveling up. From basics to brilliance.